I have covered the Iranian and Iraqi war in the 1980s. I was working to Monte Carlo radio back then. The radio was the main source of news for the Middle East. There was three main radios back then: Monte Carlo, France, BBC, and the British radio. And also there was an American radio called Voice of America. About the working ability and potentials, first of all, we didn't have any satellite at all. Also, the internet, mobile phones wasn't exist. In the last 2 years of the war, Iraq slowly started taking the island. It was called Al-Faw. Iranian was occupying it, and Iraq started an operation to take it back. I was living in Baghdad, and my mission was to cover the Iraqi military forces taking the Al-Faw back from Iran. I had a recorder with a mic with me, and a small piece. It was used as a speaker back then. I had some batteries and some recording cassettes too. The Iraqi Ministry of Defense was picking the correspondence by military armored vehicles, and it was taking around 2 to 3 days. Once we arrived there, they give us a military uniform to look the same as the soldiers. So whatever happens on them happens on us too. Actually, journalists didn't have any safety supplies, although we all know that we are in need to this stuff. No shields, no helmets, but nowadays none of the reporters accept to cover an explosion without shield on their bodies. We also couldn't wear something to make different than the others, I mean the soldiers, because we were working side to side with them. If we wear something with different color, that would make them more visible to their enemies. If I had a breaking news for something happened on Monday, it would be on the radio on Wednesday or Thursday, because I had to leave the operation zone and reach the closest landline. Sometimes we had a chance to find a landline easily, but we never had a chance to find an international core. Also, the reporter was the only core of the news. Whatever the reporter describes is what the people have to deal with. The major issue was the timing that the news we sent gets published when we were still in the operation zones. For example, some news from other sources about events happened lately may reach and gets published before ours. So when ours get published, it sounds confusing for the people. That happened many times, either with us or with the other radios.
About myself. My name is Shahdi Al-Kashif. I'm BBC reporter here in Turkey since 2015. I used to work with BBC for 12 years. And I don't know about the audio if it's okay or not, but I was born in Iraq, 1973, and I used to work with agencies like Reuters, APTN, and with a number of Arab satellite channels. My mission is to cover all the events in the area, not just in Turkey, and also the countries around Turkey, like Syria, Iraq. And then, one of the important coverage that we did is in Mosul, 2016, in the operation against IS there. And I think it's very interesting because this is one of the coverage. We think it was amazing in the geographic things and the political issues, and also about the details of the kind of the coverage when we are dealing with the enemy that nobody knows anything about. It's not a country, it's not an official army, and some of them is unknown for us.
Can
So,
you tell us about your experience in details inside the field?
well, if they compare about our my father coverage in 1986, like what you said, I think yeah, we can say that actually the timing was playing for us. Actually, if we said about the equipments that we have, about the facilities, and also about all the circumstances and this kind of the coverage, and like what we said that in 1986, the CELFAO operation, there was no satellite channels, there was no internet or social media, and also there is even no phone calls in that time. I mean, there is no mobile. But for us, it's a different, completely different. We have all the facilities. We have very important connections like mobiles, like internet access, and also we have the social media that we can understand what exactly happened in the other side, because you know, in that time also there was no information for reporters about I mean, those who's covering from the Iraqi side, they don't have any information about what exactly happened in the Iranian side, as example. And but it's different for us. For us, it's important because it was very easy to reach to the military operation zone. It's our equipment. Let's start with this. We not just have the armored or flak jackets and helmets and the special clothes for the night or in the day, and also we have some equipments to see for a GPS to tell our institutions that we are now in this location or not. And by the way, this is very important now if you are covering in the area like a desert, which is a very wide area, and sometimes you can get lost. And also at the same time, we have not just the mobiles and the internet. If sometimes you find yourself out of the coverage or the service and the internet and mobiles, we have also the satellite mobiles. And sometimes if you are out of batteries, as examples, not just in the area that you are covered, but also if you are covering for the few days in the deserts, we also have equipments to charge our mobiles and laptops manual. This is kind of equipments that the other reporters before 20 or 30 years, they don't have this.